Good afternoon, I am Precious Mzea Sakaleji. Welcome to Camnet TV Midday News. The headlines. Former President Edgar Lungu to retire from active politics. RAPHAEL NAKACINDA insists on offering premature checks and balances to the government. Join me with the Midday News in detail after this commercial.
Would you like to win some cool cash? Say no more. Stand a chance to win your share of 1 million kwacha. Simply make a transaction from your Zamtel mobile money account and you could be one of weekly winners of up to 10,000 kwacha. Be empowered with Zamtel mobile money. Dial *344# to activate your account. This promotion runs from 28th July to 31st October 2021. Zamtel, your digital lifestyle partner.
And now the media news in detail. Zambia's Republican President RAPHAEL says no single person will go to jail for simply criticizing the UPND and its alliance partners on how they will govern the country. Mr. RAPHAEL says peace and unity in the country will be void if its people remain in poverty, while children are unable to go to school and graduates unable to find employment. Speaking during a church service at the State House Sunday, President RAPHAEL re-echoed his commitment to improving lives of the Zambian people by basing his rule on nothing but the truth and the fear of God. And Archbishop Telesphore Mpundu has challenged Zambians to show love and oneness to one another by coming on board and helping the poor and not leaving it to government alone.
For 2 consecutive days, State House grounds have housed 2 church services reaffirming the commitment that Zambia is a Christian nation and will continue to be one. The State House Sunday colorful church service was graced by the Roman Catholic and was filled with joyous people who came to give thanks and appreciate God for the wonderful things He is doing for the country of Zambia. And speaking during the service, the Archbishop Telesphore Mpundu said he is happy to see that God's voice has prevailed in Zambia through the people who spoke on 12th August 2021 by voting out injustices.
Today, we are celebrating ourselves as a nation. We have refused to accept that we are poor, that we are rich. Only the riches are misused by people we have elected to lead us. They betray us. And so when we went for elections, we said no to this. It is not God's will that a few have everything they need and the rest have nothing.
The Archbishop added that President RAPHAEL has a monumental task to correct the wrong, but that he cannot do it alone but through prayer of all Zambians.
Let's compete with one another in respecting one another. That is true freedom. President and his team will find it so much easier when we are together respecting one another.
And President RAPHAEL took time to appreciate the Archbishop for the support even when he was arrested in Mukobeko maximum prison in 2017.
I said similar things to you in my apartment at Mukobeko maximum prison when you came to see. I said the same things I'm saying now. That truly you are a blessing to this country. The whole trust is one. And this State House, I said it a few days ago, these grounds are open. They are open to all the churches. All the churches.
The President has since reaffirmed his commitment to creating an enabling environment that will see to it that Zambia becomes a better country to live in.
We shall work hard. We shall work to include the people of Zambia, not to exclude them. We shall work to gather the people of Zambia, not to scatter them. We shall work not to deprive, but to offer opportunities for our people. Every talent God has given us will be applied towards this agenda. I confess here that no one should go to jail for criticizing this UPND and this alliance government. No, let's use love to conquer hate.
Prudence Chota, reporting for Camnet TV News.
Former Republican President EDGAR LUNGU says he will not contest the 2026 general elections despite Patriotic Front officials advising him to stay on. Speaking shortly after attending church service at All Saints United Church of Zambia in Lusaka's Chainda compound Sunday, Mr. LUNGU states that he will hand over the presidency of the Patriotic Front party to the next person as he has run his rest and needs to rest.
Speculation surrounding whether former Republican President EDGAR LUNGU will contest the 2026 general elections have been going round. The Patriotic Front Party recently affirmed that party members are in agreement to have the former head of state continue with the party's presidency and lead them into the country's next general elections. The former head of state, however, has clarified that he will not contest the 2026 general elections as he has already run his race and wants to give time for others to also lead the party. He was speaking shortly after attending church service at All Saints United Church of Zambia UCZ congregation in Lusaka's Chainda compound Sunday.
I think it is very, very important that we give the government space to fulfill the promises they made. They promised us cheap food, they promised us free education, and all those things. And I know they are very, very difficult to fulfill, especially if we keep disturbing them. Let's leave them 5 years to fulfill.
Speaking during the church service, the former president has further called on stakeholders to give the new United Party for National Development UPND government room to operate and deliver on their promises, unlike offering unnecessary criticism.
I'm not contesting 2026. Why are they worried? There are procedures in this matter. Just like I gave up the presidency and I had surrendered everything and I had procedure, I've handed over to President NAKACINDA, I'll hand over the next president of PF. I'm not available for 2026 and PF should begin grooming itself, rebranding itself to come up with the new vigor and contest elections. And those who are advising me are wasting their time because I'm very competent in understanding the law and following it. When I make a decree or a pronouncement, I want to follow it according to what is laid out. I'm available to cooperate with the president in handing over power up to this point. I'm still available to cooperate with the president of PF, soon to be named. So what is the fuss? I want to rest. I've done my part, I've run my race. So don't worry about that.
Zambia went to the polls on 12th August 2021, in which the former head of state came out second, losing to the United Party for National Development UPND, led by Mr. Hakainde Hichilema. Zipora Mushala, Camnet News, Lusaka.
Meanwhile, former Minister of Water Development, Sanitation and Environmental Protection, Mr. RAPHAEL NAKACINDA, who accompanied the former president, has vowed to continue scrutinizing the operation of the United Party for National Development government to ensure they deliver on their promises.
It's even more clear now that it has been prayed for. The binoculars is even more clear now that it has been prayed for. Our job is to provide checks and balances. The UPND want to start creating an excuse for not being able to fulfill their promises. They made a mountain of promises to which the Zambian people entrust them with the responsibility of being in government. It's expected that they fulfill those promises.
In other news, the Governance Elections Advocacy Research Services GEARS has charged that the rising numbers of petitions for the just-ended 2021 general elections cause for reflection on how the electoral process was managed in the country. GEARS Executive Director Mr. McDonald Chupenzi has told Camnet News that the campaign period ahead of the general elections was poorly managed and marred with reports of violence, which has resulted in the high numbers of election petitions. He says the need to be re-informed of how the electoral process in the country is done in order for it to reflect the country's democratic values.
The campaign process leading to the 2021 general elections was filled with allegations of unfair application of the Public Order Act as gatherings were restricted on claims of stopping the spread of the coronavirus. This period also witnessed unprecedented levels of violence and deaths in some cases. The process was also filled with reports of vote buying, while in the most extreme cases, some candidates were accused of possessing pre-marked ballots. These allegations have led to various losing candidates, mostly those who stood for parliamentary positions, petitioning the election results. The Governance Elections Advocacy Research Services GEARS has charged that the high number of election petitions is a reflection of a poorly managed electoral process. GEARS Executive Director Mr. McDonough Chipenzi states that many stakeholders are not satisfied with the entire electoral process, hence the petitions.
These election petitions basically are triggered by the way the campaign period was done and conducted, or indeed administered, by those who were supposed to ensure that there was fair play during this period. And therefore, it is something that should start making us reflect on how best we can deal with this issue where petitions are reduced after an election. Because that is the sign, when petitions are reduced, it's a sign of proper management of an electoral process.
The GEARS Executive Director says there is need to change this going forward and ensure that the country's democratic tenets are upheld.
There were perceived or real threats to credibility and integrity of an election.
Article 73 of the Republican Constitution stipulates that a person may file an election petition with the High Court to challenge the election of a member of parliament, which shall be heard within 90 days from the filing in of the petition. Zipporah Mushala, Camnet News, Lusaka.
Well, that news item brings us to the end of Camnet TV Midday News, but before we go, here are the headlines once again. Former President Edgar Lungu to retire from active politics. RAPHAEL NAKACINDA insists on offering premature checks and balances on the government. That is all. I am Precious Mzea Sakaleji. Remember to always wear your mask, avoid crowded places, wash your hands for at least 20 seconds, or use alcohol-based hand sanitizer. Stay safe and good afternoon.